Okay, so this time I decided to start off by making the packaging first. So what you want to do is you want to find an image of the Chick-fil-A logo on Google. And again, this is very easy to find. And then you just want to copy and paste it onto a Word document. And you want to move over to the right side of the paper. And make sure that it's facing this way. And then just adjust the size of it if you have to, like make it slightly bigger or slightly smaller, and just really just make it like whatever size you want until you are happy with it. And it should look something like this when you print it out. And then once you've printed it out, next what you want to do is you want to cover the logo just using some clear tape. And I've already done that, as you can see. And then what you want to do is you want to fold the piece of paper in half to make the bag, like so. And then you want to add some tape around this bottom edge here and also on the side, but obviously leave the top bit open. And again, just use clear tape for this. So I'm just going to do that and I'll be right back. Once you've finished taping it all together, here is what the finished bag should look like. So again, I just taped it along here and also along here as well, but obviously leave the top bit open. Yeah, this is really easy to make. And also it's up to you if you want to either print out the logo or just draw it on and then colour it in red. And also, I'm not sure if there are any other designs that are on the paper bag, but if there is, then please feel free to add them onto yours if you want to. But I'm just going to leave mine like this. And I think it's good enough. Oh, and by the way, you just want to use just an A4 size piece of paper for this. I nearly forgot to mention that. So that's what the packaging should look like. And then once you have the packaging ready, we can move on to making the squishy. So now moving on to making the squishy. So next what you want to do is you just want to take a piece of foam or a piece of sponge. And it works better if your sponge is already in the shape of a rectangle like this one. So this is already the perfect shape. I just need to trim it down just a little bit. And also you can make the squishy as big or as small as you want. And this sponge here, I actually measured it and it turns out that it's 11.5 by 7.3 centimetres. Or roughly that, I could be wrong, but anyways. This is already the perfect size for me. But you can of course make yours whatever size you want. And next what you want to do is you just want to trim it down slightly, either using your scissors or a craft knife. So I'm just going to take a little bit off right here because it's just a little bit too long. So I'm going to cut it probably just about here. Very carefully. So that's a little bit better. And then you also want to trim off some on the top as well, so it has more of like a kind of like a rounded sort of appearance, I guess. So I'm just going to trim it off just a little bit. And also just to make it a little bit more rough looking, because the top of a brownie isn't always like completely smooth. So I'm just going to finish that and I'll be right back. Once you've finished trimming it, here is what it should look like, or roughly what it should look like. So as you can see, I cut off some of the top layer of the sponge, so that way it has a more bumpy texture. And also I was looking at this image here as well as reference. So as you can see, the top layer is very bumpy. So that's what I wanted to try and recreate. So yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. And also you saw from the previous clip that I also trimmed down the edges slightly as well, so they're not too perfect. So just a little bit more rounded, as you can see. And I'm also just going to just trim off like the bottom bit as well, just a little bit more. Again, just really roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the shape of this. This is what mine looks like. So yeah, I definitely recommend that you look at images of brownies as reference. Honestly, it's like pretty easy to do. This is probably going to be like the most simple squishy that I've made in this whole series. So once you have the shape ready, we can move on to the next step. Next, what I did was I painted most of the squishy a very dark brown colour, so the sides and the back. So I just used my very dark brown fabric paint for this, and I know it looks black on camera, but it is actually a very, very dark brown. And then for the top of the squishy, I painted it a slightly lighter brown colour. So what I did was I actually used this lighter tone of brown fabric paint. So I'm not sure if you can see, but they are slightly different tones. So this one is lighter. So what I did was I just mixed this with some yellow and burnt sienna paint to create a much lighter brown. And then I just painted the top part of the brownie. And then I just blended it in on the edges slightly, just using a small paintbrush. Because I noticed on the image here that I'm using as reference that there are two different shades of brown. So as you can see, the top part is quite a bit lighter, so I tried to recreate that. And I think it looks pretty good. I think the lighter colour on top just makes it look just a little bit more realistic. So that's what it looks like so far. And now moving on to the next step. Next, what I did was I painted on some chocolate chunks or some chocolate chips on the top of the brownie, just using my dark brown puffy paint again. So I just painted them on randomly on the top of the brownie. And they can just all be just really random shapes. They do not have to be perfect at all. And then I just made them look just a little bit more melted, I guess, just using a small paintbrush and also just my puffy paint again. Just to make them look like they're a little bit more melted into the brownie. And I also looked at my image again as reference. And also it's up to you if you want to add any more of the chocolate chunks around the sides of the brownie. I decided not to do that since I can't really see any more chocolate chunks on the side of the brownie, so I'm just going to leave mine like this. But of course you can add on as many as you want to yours. I think this looks really good. I think it's pretty realistic. So now you just want to let the squishy completely dry and then we can move on to the next step. So lastly, what you want to do is you just want to place the squishy inside the packaging or the bag. And then once you've done that, you are finished. And I think this turned out really good. I think the brownie looks pretty realistic. And sorry, it is quite squished already. It's because I tried filming this intro a couple of times before and I just kept messing up. So this is the third time I'm filming this intro. So that's why the squishy already looks very squished, as you can see. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. I think this is probably the most simple one that I've made out of this whole series, or maybe the waffle fries. Those were quite simple to make as well. But I think this one was probably the quickest since it only took a day and a half to make. But also I think the fries took about the same amount of time to make as well. But anyways... Yeah, I think this looks really good and it is really, really soft and squishy as well, as you can see. and the edges are quite slow rising. It's quite hard to see now because it is in such a weird shape. But yeah, I think the texture of it is really good, and I think also the texture of the sponge just makes the brownie look even more realistic in my opinion, because for this one I used a kitchen sponge for this, and then for these ones I used memory foam, and then for this I used density foam. So yeah, I just felt like using I just felt like using a kitchen sponge to make this, just because I had a whole pack of them and I just had no idea what to make with them. I think it worked out really well, and you can see all the chocolate chips or the chocolate chunks on the top. And again, it's up to you if you want to add any more chocolate chips to the sides of the squishy or the back. Again, I decided not to. Yeah, this definitely makes me hungry. I do really love brownies. I think the colour of it turned out maybe just a little bit too dark, but still I think it's good enough. And yeah, it was just so simple to make. And also here's the packaging again. And again, this is also very simple to make as well. And also it's up to you if you want to add anything else to the bag. Again, I decided just to leave mine like this. And also I'm thinking about making this kind of like a thing on my channel from now on. Like I really want to make like other fast food themed squishies, and I'm thinking about doing that maybe once a year on my channel. So for example, maybe like next year I might make, I don't know, like maybe like a in and out like squishy series, or a Wendy's squishy series or something like that. Just because like these were so much fun to make, so I really want to try and make this a thing on my channel. But obviously like I can't make like whole sets like these like too often, because otherwise then I'm just going to like have so many and just like end up having like nowhere to put them. So yeah, I can't make them too often. But yeah, I definitely want to make this like more of a thing on my channel. So next year I might do another series like this. And again, by the way, if you haven't seen all the other parts of this squishy tutorial series yet, then please go and check it out. Again, I will link the playlist in the description box below. So if you want to learn how to make the bag, the fries, the burger and the drink, then please go and check out those videos if you haven't already. And so pleased with all of these. I worked really hard on all of them. And please let me know what you think of all of these in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions, because I worked extremely hard on all of these. It was a lot of work. So yep, that is it for this series. I really hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you haven't seen all the other parts yet, then please go and check them out. I know I've said that quite a few times already, but yeah, anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this series. And thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.